Welcome to the Westeros Media Podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. We are here to tell the Phoenix Rising stories, coming up from the ashes to build businesses, to build personal brands, to parent, coming out, all of it. The stories of those who came from nothing and did great things. We all have a Phoenix Rising story, and I can't wait to hear yours. Join me every week for new podcast episodes. And of course, make sure you follow the show so that you never miss an episode. See you soon. Hi, welcome back to Lessons from the Ashes, a Westeros Media podcast. I am so excited to have somebody that I have recently been working with and I love chatting with, Heather Smith. So Heather, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Can you introduce yourself to everybody so they know who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Heather Smith. I'm a certified life coach. I help women get through mental blocks and emotional blocks to kind of get out of monotony of life.
The monotony of life, that will get you down, hey? I think that's so important that, being able to shift out of even just like something general. I think a lot of people think they don't want to get help unless they have like some big event or trauma, but like just getting out of the monotony into what you were hoping for. I think that's really cool that that's your focus.
Yeah.
So the theme of the podcast is Lessons from the Ashes. So do you have a story that you'd like to tell us about a time when you kind of had to burn it down and then rise up from the ashes?
Yeah, I have a lot of stories, but I guess we'll just go for one of the darkest ones that kind of was probably the biggest moment in my life to turn around. So a little bit more about me, my background in my life. I am from divorced parents. I'm married, and my husband is also from divorced parents, and we met while we were both serving in the military. And so neither one of us had a very good idea or grasp on what healthy families looked like. And as we started having children, the only thing that we knew was the experiences that we had. And I was very blessed with a boy as my first child, and I only have sisters, and I only have one boy cousin, and I did not understand what raising a boy meant. I was terrified. But he's also autistic, and so everything that I knew, everything I tried, I had to throw out the window. Nothing worked. No training that I had. I mean, I had helped raise my sisters. I have, my youngest sister is 10 years younger than me. I had done a lot of taking care of babies and young children, and nothing I knew worked. Every method I tried from any adult in my life, nothing worked. And so it just kind of became this, well, we'll just figure it out as we go. What works for him, that's what we'll do. And it was hard for a long time because as I never had to go overseas for the job that I had in the military, my husband did. Mm-hmm. And the first 12 years of our marriage, we were apart more than we were together. And we finally passed this threshold at 15 years where we had not been separated more than we had been together. And now, after 17 years of being together, we're getting in a better groove because we've only finally been consistently together for the last 7 years.
Right.
It's crazy. But he had a very specific deployment where he had to go to Djibouti, the Horn of Africa. It was horrible. And because a lot of it was the temperatures were so hot, the hours were so strenuous, and he worked overnight and slept during the day, and the power would go out and there would be no AC. So he was dealing with a lot on his own. And then I was managing all of our household. At this point, we had 3 kids. I have a story similar to yours where, after our first child, we lost one, and then we had 2 more. And so there is a lot emotionally that I thought I had dealt with until that year. And that year, my marriage was falling apart while we were separated. I was under a lot of pressure in the atmosphere that I was in, like at church. There was a lot of things being pushed on me that I wasn't handling very well. And I didn't have a very good support system. I was away from my family. So I was kind of like all on my own. And being the oldest child of what, most people considered like a broken family, I carried a lot. I managed a lot. I had to be the one that was okay. I had to help everybody else. And so I just was like powering through in this very masculine energy, just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and hardly ever like recognizing what I was dealing with and feeling things. So I mentioned the miscarriage. Like, so when we lost the baby, I had to feel it then. Like, there is no getting around grieving and dealing with that, as you know. And so that was probably the only thing I had really let myself like fully feel. And it even took years and years to fully understand like what that did to me, like mentally and emotionally. And there's even times where now, like, I'll sit and I'll just like think, man, my family does not feel whole. Like, I feel like I'm missing, like, I need one more, And so it's one of those things that like doesn't leave you. But that year that he was gone, when he was gone to Africa, I was being pulled in so many different directions. Like I didn't have a good friend group until that year. And so I was building that. And I was heavily involved in my church. And I had already dealt a lot with the heaviness of religion and purity culture and shaming and all of that. I grew up in all of that. I'm from Texas in the Bible Belt, like all of that. I grew up in it. The control, the manipulation, all of it. So I had already dealt with all that, walked away from God, and then come back just to sit under somebody that was super heavy on manipulation, control, and like, like saying that they were into freedom, but as soon as I would exhibit signs of freedom, it was like this horde coming after me. And so I kind of like pulled away emotionally and didn't really tell anybody what was going on. My husband had no idea what I was going through, physically or mentally, emotionally, any of that. I didn't tell him anything because I knew he was having a hard time.
Yeah.
Our marriage was already struggling, being halfway around the world from each other. And then, so there was two leaders in the church that were pulling me in different directions, both telling me that I was being a bad mom, that I was being a bad wife, that I was not doing things right. And thankfully, there were people that rallied for me in that time. And they were telling, these people, they were so kind. And they were telling me, that's not the way that it works. Don't listen to that, but it was hard. Like, it was hard because the women that were doing that to me, I looked up to them very closely. Yeah. And one of them, we had even like taken on as one of my child's godparents. And so we were very close to them. And so it was very, very hard for me to understand why they were so aggressive and why are they trying to control everything that I'm doing? And why are they telling me so many things that I know aren't true, even like in scripture and things. And so I was so pulled in so many different directions. I didn't feel like I knew who I was. I didn't feel like I knew anything about anyone. I had already dealt with postpartum depression after each one of my children. And, at this point I had 3 children on my own. My youngest was maybe 1. And my youngest 2 are less, like, they're about like 15 months apart. So I had like 2 young ones. I was still nursing. I was still trying to handle everything financially. It was bad. That year, I only did laundry when we ran out of underwear and actual clothes to wear out of the house. I didn't cook. I maybe cooked like 6 times the whole year he was gone. Like in total. Yeah. I only did dishes when we ran out of cereal bowls. I only went grocery shopping when we didn't have cereal or a can of soup, like something I didn't really have to do anything. We ate out a lot. My house was not picked up. Like I was falling apart, but nobody saw it because I didn't let anybody in.
Right.
And I was so torn and pulled in so many directions and lost that like there was a specific day that we came home from, I don't even know what we were doing. And my kids had all caught something. My youngest had blown out her diaper. My middle one was in the bathroom throwing up. And my son had just stood in the hallway, looked at me, and just threw up all over the carpet. And I just fell apart. I couldn't do it. Yeah. I was like, they're all 3 needing me. I didn't feel well. And I just started yelling at my son. And it was like an out of body experience. I don't even know all that I was screaming at him, but I know that I was like, it's so horrible to say, but I was like cussing and I was saying all these things. And it was like I couldn't control what was coming out of my mouth. And I could just see the fear in his eyes. And immediately that resonated with me because I saw myself, because I had already dealt with that growing up as a child, like all of like verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, like neglect, all of that. I had dealt with that. And immediately when I saw that in my own children's eyes, I was like, nothing is working. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, I took it the wrong way. And I was like, they don't deserve this. I shouldn't be here. I'm a horrible mom. I'm a horrible person. And I planned to, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, get rid of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had total plans. I put my kids down for a movie. I locked all the doors. Like I went into my room and then into my bathroom. And then I had a closet in the bathroom. I went all the way in there and I was full and ready. And you can call it a divine experience, a holy experience, whatever. I just got a vision of my kids finding me.
Oh.
And I just fell to the floor. I dropped everything and I just cried. And I was like, I can't do that to them.
Yeah.
I can't. It doesn't matter if I'm halfway here or I'm falling apart or the house is a mess. Like I cannot do that to them. Mm-hmm. So I cried for I don't even know how long. I picked myself up and I figured, well, I've got to figure out something. And so I just started like kind of going numb because I didn't really know what to do. Mm-hmm. Well, it was the year that I turned 30 and I was so upset. I was actually so excited to turn 30 because I had felt like I'd already been 30 for 10 years. Because I didn't do all the like crazy 20s stuff everybody wanted to do in their 20s. I was already a mom at like 21. I just, I didn't want to do any of that. So I already felt like I was 30 in my 20s. And I was like, oh, finally, I'm going to feel right.
I relate to that.
My husband was gone. I didn't have any family. And I was like, this isn't going to be special at all, And so I had asked my mom to come visit and she was like, I can't, I'm sorry. So I was like kind of just depressed. And I was like, well, cool. So just, reclused ourselves in the house and we were just watching movies. And then like I have 1 or 2 kids asleep on me in a recliner as we're watching some kid movie, who knows? And I see a shadow in my backyard. And I'm like thinking, we're going to die. Because immediately I just go to the most drastic option available.
Worst case scenario.
And then my back sliding door slides open. And I'm like, we're for sure going to die. I'm like, so I look around me for anything I could possibly throw to defend myself and my children. And it's, of course, a remote. That's it. That's all that's there. So I grab this remote and I'm thinking, until my last breath, I'll do whatever I got to do. And the curtain moves and it's my mom.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, for 1 second, insanely excited that my mom had shown up to surprise me because I immediately knew it was because it was my birthday weekend. And then right after that, you would not believe the amount of weight and dread and horrified, like everything that I felt, because I knew my house was a wreck and I knew my life was a wreck and she was going to witness it. And as soon
Oh,
as she
yeah.
walked in, she looked around and she said, "Sweetie, you're not okay, are you?" And I just fell apart. And I was like, no, because nobody had asked me how I was doing. Nobody had like come and tried to help me. Like I had, friends time like from time to time, like take my kids maybe for like an hour or whatever, but like nobody had really seen it. That was like really the first time that I mean, I didn't have a choice. She busted in my house. Um, but and I'm not gonna lie, like I was terrified at how she would judge me and because it's not like we had like a super great relationship. And I was totally expecting that I raised you better than this talk and you know better and and that never came. And I was it will be forever a life-changing moment. She cleaned my entire house, cleaned my dishes, helped me get groceries, helped me cook, like did all the laundry, picked everything up. We talked the whole time. She just loved on me and supported me and showed up. And before she left, before the weekend was over, she just kind of like held me and said, "Okay, do not let it get like this again." And I knew exactly what she meant. She didn't mean my house or
Yeah.
the laundry or the dishes. She meant me. Don't let myself get this bad again. And I was like, "Okay, I won't." And I was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do, but I won't." So at that point, I realized, okay, I have been looking to all of these outside sources for permission, validation, grounding, foundation, everything, right? I had been looking everywhere for any kind of sense of anything. And I totally weighed my value on what I could do for somebody else. And so I was always doing for other people, but nobody could do for me. I wouldn't let anyone. So at that point, I was like, okay, I got to figure out who I am. I got to figure out like how I tick, what's going on. I got to figure out who my kids are, how to deal with them, And so I literally just like started everything from scratch. And I still can't even remember if I talked to my husband about what was going on, ever let him know anything. I don't even know like if I told him because he wasn't physically there in that moment. And I worried about burdening him anyways. And so I don't know if I did or not. I just know that like I was like, okay, everything I've been doing thus far has not worked, obviously. So we're just going to figure it out from scratch. And that's literally what we did. I learned completely from scratch all about God for myself. Again, it wasn't involving anyone else at that point. I had to do that for myself, find my God for myself. So I started that. And in doing that, I started realizing who I was, which was incredible. But also in doing that, I started realizing that I could stand on my own in doing things. And, people who like to manipulate and control don't like when you start to get freedom.
Ooh, no, they don't.
No, they don't. So that was a whole nother, I had to learn what healthy boundaries were. I had to learn how to be brutally honest with myself because regardless of what someone might think of me, whether I be crazy or over emotional or too sensitive or ridiculous, I didn't care because I was so much more afraid of getting to that place again.
Yeah.
And since then, it has just been this journey of learning internal things, unlearning internal things, forgiving, accepting, receiving, letting go. Like this whole healing journey, it literally is like an ongoing journey. You can never really stop because as soon as you like take a break or stop, you start to feel like stagnant waters. They just start to feel gross and slimy. Yeah. And so it's kind of like an addiction, but I feel like it's a good one, Being on a healing journey is a good addiction.
Yes.
But I had to learn everything new. I had to start over because I could never let myself go to that place again. I knew that my kids needed me. And at that time, I still didn't think I was a good mom. Because I didn't think anything I was doing was making a difference in anything. It's so crazy to look back at that point in my life now, because I was a damn good mom, and I am a damn good mom now, even still, like, you know what I mean? But I know that now, and I can say that now. I couldn't see it then because I was listening to so many outside things, and I was listening to what everybody else was saying. And the thing is I wasn't even listening to anything good they were saying. I was only allowing myself to take the negative things.
Yeah.
And so, because that was the only thing that like validated what was going on in my head anyways, like I'm not saying nice things to myself. So if somebody else says it, it's like, whatever. But if they locked on to something I was already saying in my own head, I was like, oh, yep, there's more proof.
Yeah.
And I've learned that like, that is so not how it works. Like your thoughts, you cannot always control what thoughts come in, but you can definitely control what thoughts stay.
Yes.
And so I've had to learn that process and learn that feelings are not the same as thoughts. Yeah. They're different. You have to acknowledge your feelings and feel them and then release them. And then thoughts you have to kind of manage and renew. And so it has definitely been a journey, but like it has been amazing because the way I've been able to support my children, the way most of us were never supported.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so crazy how many people in our generation just were craving emotional recognition. Like it's not to say that any of our parents were bad parents. I mean, there was a good handful of bad parents, but there was good parents too. But like still, the mass majority of people in our generation, they just didn't ever grow up with emotional recognition. It was, children, no, you have to be quiet and don't cry about that. And, oh, you're being too loud when you're excited. And everything that we did was just too much. And I didn't want to raise my kids that way. I didn't want them to feel like they weren't seen. I didn't want them to look to other people to know who they were. I wanted them to know who they were. And so it's been extra healing doing it with them.
Yeah.
Because it's this crazy dynamic that happens when you're a parent, like, and you're doing something different with your child, because it is insanely lonely, but it's so healing at the same time. So, when you break the pattern in the family, like you're already isolated. And if you're the first one to break the pattern, you're kind of ostracized and you're a black sheep for a while because you're calling attention to something nobody wanted to call attention to before. And you're saying that's not really okay, but that's the way we've always done it. But that's not really okay. And I was the first one to break all the rules, all the traditions, all the rules, everything. I broke everything. I mean, I was the first one. I'm still the only one in my family to homeschool. We homeschool our kids. We didn't do Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy. Like I'm telling you, we were definitely black sheep. But we decided just, and it's nothing to say anything about that. They totally indulged in it with their cousins and everything. Nobody brought it up. They understood. It's just because of the experience that I had growing up, it was so important to me for truth to be such a huge foundation in our home.
Yeah.
I wanted my children to trust me. Because if they can't trust me, I can't help them. And so even those cute little things like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, like from the beginning, we were like, they're not really real, but we can still have fun with it. We can still, hunt things. We can still like go get pictures. It's not anything that's going to ruin anything, but I didn't want them to not trust us for any reason whatsoever. And my husband was like, you know what? Me either. Like we were on the same page. Like we just didn't want to do it. We wanted truth to just be a huge foundation. And so my children see us fight but then they see us resolve the fight. My children see me melt down and cry, but then they see me get back up and take a deep breath and okay. And it's been so amazing to have them a part of the process because they understand, because I never really saw my mom cry like ever. And when I did, I thought she was going to die. That's how rare it was. Like if my mom was crying, I thought, is she going to die now? Like, am I going to not have a mom? Because I never saw it. And she was so tough. Like she did, had 3 jobs, was a single mom, like was taking care of everything. And she has an insane pain tolerance. So even if she like broke her foot, she would walk on it. And it's like, it was crazy. And so if I saw her cry, it was horrible. And I was terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would start to cry, I'd be like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that for my kids. And so they see everything, but they also see my dance parties in the kitchen when I'm cooking and I'm being so silly. And, so they see all of it because I want them to understand that like the way they were made, like we're not made to shove any of that down, any of it, the good or what we deem as the bad, but it's not even bad.
Yeah.
This is not bad. Grief is not bad. It's just part of being human and having a human experience. And so it's been a lot of that, but it's also like, it's so weird because there's moments where I'll sit and I'll see my child experiencing something that I didn't get to experience, right? Like they're playing a game with their dad or they're having a tickle fight or they're, having just a conversation. And I'm like, man, I wonder what that feels like, but I'm so glad they have it.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird duality internally because it's like, it's not that you're jealous of your children. It's like, you just wonder like, it looks like it feels so good. I wonder what that feels like, but I'm so glad that they have it.
Yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah.
It's so weird, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
I took my kids to a Pride event last night, and what happened was I saw a bunch of like young people who are queer doing like shows, and like they were performing, and I sobbed the whole time. And my kids were like, "Do you not like it?" And I was like, "No, it it was like longing, but also like sadness, but also like so much joy, because I was like, imagine if I would have had that, but I didn't. And now look at these kids do." And it was like all those feelings together. It was, my kids are like, "If you don't like it, we can leave." I'm like, "That's fine. I love it."
yeah, it always makes me cry when I have those moments too.
Yeah.
Every time. But yeah, it's funny because so my oldest daughter, she's probably the most emotionally like me out of all 3 of my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't necessarily hold back in a way that like she gets very into something and she gives like so much of her heart to it. And so she'll get very hurt and devastated very easily. And there's nothing wrong with that. She just allows herself to just feel,
Yeah.
like fully feel. And it's been such like a learning journey managing that with her because she understands that she sees it in me. And so whenever I'm there when she needs support, she trusts me to be there with her in that moment. And then like, because I've already done so much work with myself, it's so much easier for me to be there for her.
Yeah.
Like I posted about it not long ago where like we had gone bowling and emotionally she had been stressed for like the whole week prior. And there had been a lot going on with other kids in our home and things like that. And she just emotionally was just like at her wit's end. And when we were bowling, her brother took her cup and drank out of it. And it was just like, he wasn't paying attention. It was an accident. But like for her, it was like the last tippy top thing she could handle because she couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like she just like sat down and her face was turning red and tears were swelling in her eyes and her arms were crossed. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine." I'm trying to just be okay. And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's just pause for a minute." And I pulled her to the side and I just sat her down and I was like, "All right, just let it out." I'm fine. What do you mean? I said, no, you're not. And it's okay. You're not in trouble. You're not going to get in trouble for anything that you say right now. I said, just tell me everything that's bothering you. She was like, well, it's just that he took my cup. I said, and she said, well, and I didn't like when this happened. And I just kept going, and she would just say something else. And I would validate her and say, yeah, I wouldn't like that either. What else? And I just made her keep going and keep going and keep going. And I kept validating her and letting her talk and get more things out. And what was funny is the bowling alley plays music, right? So then I'm over there and I'm just like being silly and I'm dancing and I'm making all these funny faces while she's talking and I'm validating her. And I can see her like loosening up and she'll chuckle at me and roll her eyes and keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. And then she finally finished and she there's always this moment in myself and other people. There's always this moment where you cross the threshold and somebody just goes, every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
Every human being, there's always that moment. And as soon as she did that, I was like, that was it, huh? She was like, yeah, I feel so much better. And then I just grabbed her hands and stood up and gave her a hug. And then I danced with her and she just busted out laughing. And then she hugged me so tight and she said, I'm just so glad you're my mom.
Oh,
yeah. And I said, me too. I said, are you ready to go back now? And she was like, yeah, I'm ready. I don't even care that he took a drink out of my cup. It's just water. I was like, I know, that's silly. She was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, you don't have to be sorry. Or you feel better. And she was like, yeah. And then she went and took her turn and she had a great time.
Yeah.
And it was like, how much inconvenience was that? Maybe 10 minutes. I don't even think it was 10 minutes, but you know what I mean? It wasn't inconvenience at all. We were like, that's what she needed. And so that's what I did. And it's one of those things that like, I was never given that. I had to learn to do that for myself, but now I'm doing it for her. And so she doesn't have, like, she gets to start in a much more emotionally mature place than anyone I know ever did. And to be able to give that to them because I have done work in myself, I have faced things in myself. Like, I feel like that's top-notch parenting right there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Gold star.
Right? I'll take it. But it's been hard. It was very hard in the beginning. And because you have to understand, because kids trigger us as adults, right?
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time, like there are times where if like they're running towards the street and you yell stop, you have to get aggressive with that because they're, it's dangerous. And so there's times where you have to be super aggressive, you have to be jolting, you have to be, because the situation warrants it. But most of the time we're just getting triggered by children because we're not willing to admit what's going on inside ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we can do that though, like when I can sit there and go, okay, my child is pissing me off right now, but that's not their fault.
Yeah.
Right. Like if somebody else was doing this, it wouldn't really piss me off. So that's something that I need to figure out, but I can't just turn that and project it back onto my child.
Yeah.
So many of us that was what we received. That was what we knew. Right. Like parents yell, parents freak out, parents are, what we figured controlling, and then you become a parent. And when you're willing to do that inside look on yourself, like when your kid triggers you, then you're like, okay, we're going to address why this is pissing me off. But right now, what do they need?
Yeah.
And if you can get to that place, it's incredible, right? Because now when something is happening and my children are elevated, like I already know anything I try to talk to them about, it's not going to happen. Nothing is going to work. If they're elevated, there is no reasoning. There is no reasoning when someone is elevated. And it's the same with adults.
Yeah.
Right. And adults are supposed to be more managed with emotions. Oh my God. None of us were taught. Right. The only times that we're taught is basically when we go to therapy.
Yeah.
Or we're trying to learn on our own because we don't have access to therapy or we can't afford it or whatever, reasoning there may be. Like maybe somebody's really scared to talk to somebody else. So they start reading books Like that's really, you have to learn. You have to
Yeah.
learn how to if you weren't taught. And so when my children are elevated, I just know whatever is going on, like we have to bring the elevated part of them down.
Yeah.
And so do they need a hug? Do they need just to talk? Do they need to go out to the back of the property with a stick and just slam into trees or fence or whatever? Like, do they need to beat it out? Do they need to cry? Like what do they need to release that elevated state? Because their adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah.
So they can release that elevated state and then come back down. Then we can manage the situation. We can address what happened. Did somebody do something that was disrespectful towards somebody else? Then we'll fix it. Like did something break and it was super upsetting? Okay, can we fix it or get a new one or what's going on? Like then we can address the situation itself. But understanding how emotions work, understanding how things manifest in the body, like understanding that you're going to get triggered. You're going to get triggered. Like nobody is healed, literally. No, we're all healing or not. I mean, you're not, then you're not.
Yeah.
But those of us that are healing. We can never be healed anyways. And so knowing that and understanding like, oh, okay, that doesn't mean, well, what's the point? Because I'm never going to get there anyways. It's this beautiful process of just like blooming.
Yeah. I love that you're talking about this like reset, because so many parents I know who have such a hard time and they say, my kid is a disaster. What the hell am I going to do? And like, they're so worried, but they're already at a 10. And then you cannot help your kids manage their emotions if you're at a 10. I have written like 7 places in my house, calm mom, calm kids. It's a reminder on my phone. It pops up like 8 times. Cause I'm like, if I can't manage my emotions, then they can't manage theirs. And something I started with my kids is called the reset. And we just say, we need a reset. We all go, put our hands in together like a cheer, go 1, 2, 3, reset. And then sometimes we like yell a little. And my mom was asking me, she's like, why do you think that works? Like, it's not an actual thing. And I was thinking about it. And I think the reason it works is because they're allowed to do it to me too. So if I'm leveled up and they say reset, I make myself do it with them and I need it. And then I think it builds trust because they're like, okay, I'm allowed to call mom on her reset. So if she's calling me on one, then it's probably important. But so many parents I know are like, they're already keyed up because of shit around them and how, if my kid does this, then what does that say about me? Or my kid doesn't like so-and-so in my life. And like, does that mean that we can't have this family? Or all these things. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, how do you get your kids to reset? But scrap that. I want to know, how would you suggest, like, to your clients or to anyone, if I'm a parent and I know I'm at level 10 and my kid's about to, like, I can see the little, meter going up and they're about to blow their lid. What can I do to get myself back to okay so that I can help them?
So, a lot of adults don't like the answer I have to this question, right? Okay, because if you're the parent and you're already elevated and you can see that your kid is fixing to blow their lid, you're the parent. You're the responsible person, right? You're the one who is supposed to say, okay, regardless of what the situation is right now, my job is first to show up for them, right? Because they can't show up for themselves.
Right.
So children don't get like tiny sized emotions. They get the same level emotion we get as adults. They don't understand what is going on inside of their body, inside of their mind. Like some of them feel buzzing, like they go like, if you've ever seen kids go like this, I've seen kids hit themselves in the head, like they got to run around or just scream or yell, like hold their breath, like literally they just don't understand what is happening and what they're feeling. And they're trying to do anything to like get rid of it.
Right.
And so as the parent, in all honesty, this is my view, it's the parent's responsibility to first take care of their kid, right? Like if your kid is fixing to blow the lid, like, and you're elevated, you kind of have to shelf your elevated state for like a second. And I know every parent like who cares about their child can do this. because it's just like if you were like super pissed off something has happened and you're fixing to just lose your shit, but they're about to be grabbed by somebody, or a car is fixing to hit them, or you know, if anything dangerous implemented towards your child, like literally everything would drop off of you and you would save them in a heartbeat.
Right.
So if you can do that when they're in danger, think about their mental and emotional state. It's not just physical danger, right? Because what they're experiencing when they're in that moment is like so crazy to them. And internal stress can really wreck your body. Like it can wreck your cells, it wrecks your immune system. Like, and we're going into flu season again. Like it really does take a toll. Like most cancer is caused by stress.
Right.
You know, like they can't really pinpoint it to a lot of things. Like just most cancer is generally caused by stress. And we know that stress is so bad for you. But in that moment, they're overstressed. Like you have to understand as a parent that like just their physical safety is not the only thing that you're responsible for. It's their emotional and mental safety too. And in that moment, they're not really safe with themselves. And so if we can shelf our elevated state just until we can lower theirs and deal with the situation. So for me, I deal with my elevated state by myself. And this is what my self-care is. I get angry, I get upset, I get hurt, my kids hurt my feelings a lot, but I give them the space to do that because I don't want to raise them the way I was raised.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to hurt my feelings because they're going to say something, they're going to call me out, they're going to do something. And I'm just going to have to like not react like it was, you know, like I'm 12 years old. My sister just said something that made me upset. Like I can't do that. They're my child. So I have to kind of swallow it quite a bit, but that's when I go by myself. I mean, you can journal, listen to music, go for a walk, take a bath, you know, do facial care, like whatever it works for you to kind of like bring that serenity back in. Because I think of it because I really love music. And you know how like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Fantasia, but there's this part in Fantasia where the music is going and it has all these like squiggly lines when it shows up. And then whenever it gets quiet again, it's like just this solid line of light. I kind of imagine it like that. So I do whatever I got to do to bring my squiggly line back to one serene light. And because I'm very visual. So for me, I just imagine it, you know, and that's how it is. I have to take care of them before I can take care of me in those extreme moments. But if I'm regularly taking care of me, that's not that hard.
Yeah. I think that's so important. Like I have gotten so strict with myself in my self-care because I know that if I skip out on that, like people are like, I don't have time for myself. And I'm like, I have to make time for myself. Otherwise, I'm that shitty, grumpy mom. Like I get up ridiculously early, not because I'm such a shiny morning person. Like I am a morning person, but 5 a.m. is no, it doesn't matter who you are. It's an ungodly hour. But I make myself get up and work out and I meditate and I do my cold plunge and I force myself to do that because I know I can show up better for them if I do that. And I can tell on everybody if I don't do that. Like if I'm not keeping up with that, my youngest is like off the wall. Like she has ADHD, so she's like the most extreme case. But I can see it in her face. If I'm not regulated, she just like goes absolutely level 10 over anything. And for a while, I was just like, so like, I felt like I was drowning because I was like, I can't keep up. And then I was like, a little bit like you said, but like I had to start with, okay, these are the basic 5 things I need to do before I can even like start trying to be a parent.
Yeah.
And like reframing it in my head like that has really, really helped me. Because for a long time, I thought it was selfish. I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. And then I was like, no, it's actually selfish to not take care of myself because all the people around me suffered. Like everyone, like when you told the story about yelling at your son, like, thank you for sharing that because I think there's so much shame around that. Like I have had that where I feel like I'm out of my body. Like I'm like, why did I just do what used to happen to me? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why did I do that screaming, yelling? And the reset is so important because I remember when I was a kid,
like being committed to the bad mood was like the be all end all. It was like almost like you didn't want to like get better because you wanted to prove your point that like you were right or something, you know, like the reset is so important because it can build on itself, right? You get pissed off about one thing and then like 2 days later you're still pissed off and like the whole family's on eggshells. It's not worth it. I love that you're teaching your kids this.
Yeah. So it's funny because like I deal with a lot of like Christian parents, right? And I know that you grew up in religion. Well, I don't, under Bible rules and things like that. Anyways, but there's this place in the Bible, and I'm not really good at recall like this, so I would have to look up exactly where it is. But there is this place that says, it talks about like fasting. Mm-hmm. And it says that if you're fasting, others should not be able to tell, right? Otherwise, you're doing it wrong, right? If you're doing it and you're begrudgingly doing it and you're having an attitude and others can tell, what's the point of doing it? Because you're just being a crappy person, basically. I'm totally paraphrasing, so please. But I have for myself understood that to mean more than like fasting food, right? So if I'm fasting, taking care of myself, everybody can tell.
Right.
If I've forgotten to eat, I get hangry. Everybody can tell. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is like, if I am going to deny myself something for the sake of like growing for myself, like, then I'm doing that for to enlighten myself, to cleanse myself of whatever, like going on a detox. You do that. If you do that because you want to, most people are not even going to be able to tell you're doing it unless you go out to eat with them and you don't eat what they eat. Mm-hmm. If you're, detoxing the music that you listen to just because something that you're feeding yourself just isn't really serving you for a while, like nobody's really going to know, right? If you're doing it because you want to, nobody's going to know. But if you're neglecting yourself, everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I have kind of just like taken that lesson to just apply to so many different things. And so like, if I'm neglecting myself and I'm not eating and I'm not drinking enough water throughout the day and I get dehydrated, like then my energy just tanks and I can't show up for my kids. I can't, relate to anybody. And then if they get in a fight, I'm just wigging out on them. And it's like, if I haven't put in for myself. And that, like a lot of people like to use the analogy of like the face mask on an airplane. Like you have to put yours on first so you can put someone else's on, because otherwise you're going to be passed out and you can't help nobody. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like that, honestly. Like if you're not taking care of yourself in the in-between on the regular, like then when those moments happen, you can't show up for anybody else because there's nothing there. Like you have no regulation. You have no way to shelf it. There's no space. You've shelved literally everything else because you're not taking care of yourself. And so I hate that so much of us were ingrained with the thought of like doing something for ourselves as a mom is selfish. I hate that so much because it took me a long time to fight that internally and get past it. And I just hate that like so many women are taught that like, if you do anything to make yourself feel better and more freaking alive, instead of just like this zombie slave to everybody else, then you're selfish. Yeah. And it's like, actually, no, I can't serve anybody well if I'm not making sure I'm okay, and not like fake mask okay.
Right. Real okay.
Yeah, like real okay. But that's part of what I learned when I had to be brutally honest with myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm brutally honest with my husband and my kids. So if I start getting to this place, I'm like, mommy needs time out. Y'all got to go away.
Yeah.
And they're like, but, and I'm like, nope. Mm-hmm. I need a break. I need a break. If you keep talking, I'm probably gonna snap.
Yeah.
So you go take a time out. I'm gonna take me a time out. And when it won't take me long. Let me calm down and then we can talk. And they're like, okay. And then if I start getting too stressed out, like my kids will call me out like yours does. My husband will call me out, like not necessarily same because we don't yell reset. That's a really cool idea, by the way. But they'll go, Mom, have you taken care of yourself? Like, have you eaten? Are you okay? Because you seem stressed. And I'm like, okay, if you're saying something, I need to go check myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes when we get too busy. Years ago, we cut out so much extra stuff because peace was too important for me and our household. And so like my kids don't do sports because there's 3 of them. And if they all chose a different one, that's 3 different nights. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's horrible. And so, but we have chickens and ducks and a dog and land. And so like, it's not like they're not getting activity and being outside, and they have plenty of friends. We play, you know, everybody's always, so many people are always worried when you say homeschool that they're not socialized. And I'm like, my kids can hold great conversations with adults. Let me tell you. Like, they can talk your ear off. So, you know, it's like they have no problem being social. Like my daughter one time tried to give her address to a complete stranger. And I was like, no, they have no trouble being social whatsoever.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But like, it's, you know, it's so much about just health. And I don't understand when this idea came out that, you know, like people are so big on working out and eating healthy. And it's like, okay, but like, is your mind healthy? Is your emotional state healthy? Like, have you processed stuff internally, externally that you've walked through? Like, because if you're not healthy. It's, you know, like I use so many visual references because it's just what my imagination is like insane. But have you ever seen like Fern Gully and the black goo?
Yes.
It's like that. It's like you have that black
Texas.
goo inside.
Yeah.
But it's like that. Like if you're not taking care of it, it just like bubbles and grows and gets all like nasty internally.
Yeah.
And I just like if I take care of myself, I can actually take a deep breath and feel it all the way at the bottom of my lungs. And if I've been going and going and going and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, I can't do that. Like I can actually physically feel a difference when I breathe if I'm taking care of myself and when I'm not. And like if people pay attention, I bet they would notice that too. Like you can't sit and just like feel it all the way at the bottom of your lungs when you take a real good deep breath. Like there's something up. You should be able to feel your lungs fully expanding.
Okay, so I'm just curious, like if there's parents listening who are like, okay, I recognize I'm the keyed up person, but starting this huge self-care routine feels like the most out of reach thing in the world. What would you suggest is like where to start on that?
Okay, so this is like my big thing that like my key program that I have called Heart Rest that I do with women. But like generally it's find out what you like, right? Like there's all these like little things that you can do. So I know that you and I have like chatted slightly in the DMs, like you'll post food and I'm like, oh my God, that's my love language. Like if I like, you know, like, I mean, just a meal that like really just like when you take a bite and you just like your eyes roll in the back of your head and you're just like, you know, like whatever works for you. Like, so I'll take my clients through kind of like this exploration thing. And it's like things that you like to do as a kid, you know, or, you know, I have a friend who loves to take road trips like by himself, and he will just crank music and he'll just drive for like hours when like that's his reset, right?
Yeah.
But like it's not this massive like hurdle that everybody has to try and conquer. It's literally like, okay, take an account of where I am right now. Like, what do I really need that would help me just like, you know, and like sometimes it's an ice cream cone. Sometimes it's coloring in a coloring book with my daughter. Sometimes it's, you know, listening to the same song 6 times in a row because there's just something about that song. Sometimes it's journaling out something really, really hard and really painful because there's, you know, there's going to be something that surfaces more than everything else. Like there's going to be something that is like, can you please handle me right now? Like there's always going to be something that is vying for your attention more than something that you probably would rather deal with. And so like journal or meditate, or like it really is person specific, because, and sometimes it's even moment specific, you know,
Right.
like I like to go for evening walks when the sun is setting. I freaking love it. I love the redness of the sun and that I can look directly at it. It's like, I love that I can look directly at it when it's going down, because I can't look at it during the day, but I love it so much, right? It sounds so dumb, but like,
No, I understand. Yes.
fine. So I love that I can walk at night and I can just stare at it, just like going down below the horizon into trees. And it just, I love the way that the rays just spread across the sky over the clouds. Like that feeds my soul so much. And then like the other night I got up to go to the bathroom, and I guess, my husband had to go too. So like he was like, I'm going to go too. And I was like, all right. So I went to the bathroom, and then he was going to the bathroom, and I noticed that it was really bright at the blinds. So I went and just walked out the front porch, and I just like listened to the crickets, looked at the stars, looked at the clouds, and just basked in like the moonlight, and just like, oh, this is so nice. And just like, cause it's almost a full moon the other night, and I just was like, this feels so good for me.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because he came out and he was like, I thought you were in the bed. I was talking to you and everything. And I was like, yeah, my bad. I was out here just like taking on the moonlight.
That's amazing. I love that.
But like, I wasn't distressed when I went and did it. It was just one of those moments of like, ooh, the moon is super bright. I just want to go be outside in the moonlight. And I did it. I'm not doing it only when I'm like freaking out and I was like, oh, I better do something for myself right now because I'm freaking out and I'm upset. Like, no, that's a Band-Aid right then. You have to be doing it like regularly. It's the little things. And anybody who's ever been in a relationship knows that the little things count way more than like big gestures. Like they're important, but it's the little things that add up over time that like fill you up so much more. Like the jar. I don't know if you've ever seen this example. They used to teach us this like in school whenever I was younger, what they would bring in a jar and then they would have like big rocks, smaller rocks, marbles, and then like just sand. And like the sand was all the fun stuff. And so they would put all the sand in first, but then they couldn't fit the bigger rocks in, which was like, things that were really important to you. As an adult, it could be like your job, your house, your family, your vision for your life, like where your life is going, your family is going, things like that. But like the sand is the fun. But if you put only sand in, you don't have room for the big stuff, right? And then if you put all the big stuff in and then you don't put any sand in, then you just want to throw the jar. But you don't try to dump all the sand in at once. If you put some in, then it kind of trickles down and it trickles down and it trickles down. Like it gets in all the crevices. And so doing the fun things regularly, and you could schedule them if you're really bad at like, if you're not used to it. Like if it's something you haven't done before, scheduling it is probably best at first. So that way you have time set aside that you will be doing it, because unless it's already in your mind twirling around and you're used to like popping it in at different points of the day or the week, you're not going to do it. So schedule in specific time where you figure out something that's fun for you. And a lot of times, in all honesty, the first few things that you should try are stuff you enjoyed as a kid. Did you enjoy running? Did you enjoy swimming? What about jump roping or hula hooping? Like, even if you can't do it anymore, go try. Did you like bowling? Did you like listening to certain songs or reading Harry Potter? Or like literally there's so many things. Like, what did you enjoy as a kid? Start there.
Oh, I love that. It's like a really good anchor point to start at. So I think every time I hear conversations about like self-care and people talk about like what to add, sometimes people shy away, like, what do you actually have to take out? Because I know that my self-care and self-love journey didn't actually start to, I would say, quote unquote, work until I took some toxic things from my life out. So when somebody comes into your life and you can kind of, or like a client, and they have like this big toxic thing hanging over and they're like trying to jump rope, but it's not working. Like, how do you address that?
So most of the time I will say it's a relationship. And it doesn't mean it's like a spouse, but it can be. But so I am not going to name certain people that are in my life right now that I have kind of pushed from like an inner circle more to an outer circle for myself. But it doesn't have to be, it's a very like kind of two-edged sword thing that you're talking about, like, because it depends on the person who is going through it. It depends on if it's another person that's being toxic and who that person is in relation to them. Are they narcissistic? Are they abusive? Are they like, there's a lot of things to kind of like determine on how to move forward. But typically it's, what, like, who do you need space from right now? Who do you need space from right now? Because they are the most taxing on you right now. Like if it's a spouse, that's very hard because you're either going to have to figure out how to get some kind of time away or by yourself, or at least just like an hour or two a week that you schedule that you take the car by yourself and you go do something alone, like, or maybe I'll go to counseling. Like the spouse thing, that one is more hard to navigate because you're in each other's face like all the time.
Yeah.
And that one is harder. But like if it's a sibling, if it's a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, like if it's a family member, it's much easier to kind of just quietly direct them to an outer circle by just not being available. You don't have to explain why you're not available. You're just not available.
Good advice.
And so like, you don't have to answer the phone all the time when they call. They can leave a message and you can get to it when you're ready to get to it. Like when you've prepared yourself, like if it's a toxic person, and like, you don't have to answer every text message. You don't have to explain yourself. That's one thing. That's a huge thing that so many people, clients and not clients alike, like they explain themselves to kind of like excuse their behavior and say, well, it's okay that I'm doing, like, stop. Stop. You don't owe anybody an explanation. It is your life. It is your life. Like if you need a break from somebody and you want to be direct, just be like, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a break for a while. Like I just need a break. Let's reconnect like in a month, you know? And if you're too scared to do that, then just don't answer, don't be available, or send a message. Just be like, hey, I'm super busy. Like, is it important?
Right.
No. Okay. Let's talk. Let's schedule a time to talk, and then say, you know, hey, like maybe this Sunday at like 2:00, why don't we just like plan to have a conversation like on the phone, and, you know, we can catch up then. But like, assert yourself. You're a freaking adult. Like sometimes I have to kind of tough love somebody, you know, but like, it's your life. It is your life. Are they going to pay your bills? Are they going to buy your groceries? Are they going to take care of your children? Like, are they going to clean your house? Like, are they literally taking care of your life? Probably not. If they're not, you don't owe them any explanation. You know what I mean? Like, and even if they are doing one of those things, like, still don't owe them that much of an explanation. Like, I hate to see adults explain themselves like they're an 8-year-old in trouble.
Yeah.
I hate it so much because like you have to respect yourself as an adult and just no, I'm not going to do that. My sister sent me a video the other day of like all this compilation of like ways to say no from Schitt's Creek. And I was like, that's going to be a no. And like, I will absolutely not be doing that. And I was like, this is so great. It was just like 2 minutes of them saying no.
I love that.
And there's so many different ways you can say no, you know, like if you don't know how to say no, literally Google it. Google it, Pinterest it. There's so many ways to say no. There's ways to politely say no. There's ways to, you know, not so politely say no. Like it's very easy to say no. You just have to get past the fear of what someone might think, because who cares what they think, because that's, you know, not your business.
I see this so much, like strong, brave, authentic women who are like running these huge businesses and like they're so brave and assertive, and then they're like with either their spouse or somebody else, they just all of a sudden like cower. It's like I can physically see them get smaller, and they just like agree to everything and they bow down, and it's so sad. And for me, it was not a relationship, but it was like addictive behaviors. I had to quit drinking. I had to quit scrolling on my phone endlessly. I had to like all sorts of things that I had to be like, even though in this little moment it makes me feel kind of better, it's destroying me. And it's like so hard to do those things and to like stand up to yourself almost. And I think with either whatever it is, if it's an addiction or if it's a person, being able to be like, no, actually, even if you think this is important, it's not working for me, and I have to say something. And it blows my mind how people can be so strong and assertive in one way and then just crumble. And it amazes me.
From my experience, it has a lot to do with not being willing to be fully honest with themselves. And it's because they have rejected like who they really are inside for so long, or around certain people. Like you became brutally honest with yourself that, okay, these behaviors, even though they feel good in a moment, they don't actually serve me.
Yeah.
But you had to be brutally honest with yourself about that. But you had to stop like rejecting what you actually needed and say, okay, now I have to actually see myself and go, this isn't really working. So you see what I mean? Like a lot of people are not brutally honest with themselves. They reject themselves. They abandon themselves. Like, and then when you're doing that, you can't be honest, because then you have to be honest about other things, because your brain and yourself is going to say, oh, wait a second. If you know this much, you know all this too. Like your subconscious is like, it's going to throw things at you. It's going to. And so if you are like, I choose to be brutally honest with myself.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to manage things. It's so much easier to go, oh, man, even though I would really rather like go pick up something for dinner instead of cooking. Like we just bought groceries and it would be actually better for us if I cooked. So I'm going to go cook. You know what I mean? Like, but being honest with yourself, like that's the key to it. Like if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to admit, oh, scrolling on my phone isn't doing anything wrong. Oh, this one drink isn't really going to hurt me that bad. Like it's okay. But like you're literally gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the biggest issues that a lot of people haven't realized that they've been doing, is just not being honest with themselves.
So how would you suggest somebody like start being honest?
Well,
I'm asking you really hard questions.
Yeah, well, see, like, okay, so when I do this with my clients, we kind of work through, again, you have to be willing to see yourself. You have to be willing to recognize what your internal self is crying out for. Like sometimes it's, validation. Sometimes it's like, stop lying to yourself about, like, oh, this little habit I have, it's not really that bad. But then like, like maybe it's a spending habit, and then you actually add it up over 2 months and you've spent like over $700 and you're like, what? That was unnecessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like 3 weeks of groceries I could have had instead. But like, you have to be willing to honestly see yourself. You do. And so like, can you hold long eye contact with somebody and allow someone to see you? Because a lot of people don't like eye contact because somebody's going to maybe see something in me, right? Because our eyes tell a lot more than what people realize. So can you look at yourself in the mirror? Like actually look at yourself. Can you, can you admit something good about yourself? Like it has to start small. If you've not done it, or if you have berated yourself for a really long time, like it has to start small. Like, oh, I am good at this. Okay, I can do this well. Like if you can start seeing small things that you're good at and you can see yourself in a good light first, then you can start going, oh, okay, we need to work on this thing right here. That's not good for us. But if you can't see good things in yourself, you're definitely not going to hold yourself accountable to anything that would be good for you, like stopping drinking so much, or scrolling on your phone, or, you know, eating 3 ice cream sandwiches before bed every night. Like literally, like there's so many things that we do that are so bad for us. But if you can't see the good in yourself, you're not going to recognize the harmful behaviors that you're doing. You have to start with good things. You have to say, oh, you know, like, I am good. I'm a good person. Like I care about people well. Or, you know, like for me, the first place I started was body image, because at the time I was nursing a 1-year-old. Like literally my body had 3 children and almost had a 4th. Like, having children does something to your body, and you have to learn how to accept it and appreciate it again. So for me, I started there because I couldn't admit other things to myself. I had to first be able to like look at myself in the mirror and not go, ugh.
Yeah.
So I did not like my body for so long, right? Like growing up as a girl in Western society, like you're never good enough, you're never skinny enough, you're never tall enough or short enough or like voluptuous enough or, flat enough. Like you're literally never enough. Your hair is always the wrong color. Your eyes are always the wrong color. You always have too much hair or not enough. Like literally everything that we do is like always told isn't good enough. And then you have kids and then you're like, well, great. Now I appreciate what I had before, and it's all wrecked with stretch marks and scars from C-sections and this and that, but I sat down and I thought about, like, I started with my body and I sat down one night and I actually thought about, okay, what all has this body carried me through? And I started like writing down, like, thank you, body, for growing my son. Thank you, body, for growing my daughter, my other daughter. Like I started writing down these things, like, so because I could definitely appreciate what my body did to grow and birth my children and to nurse them. Like, so I started there. Okay. So then I was like, all right, and hopefully most of your listeners are women. But after I quit nursing, then I was like, okay, boobies, it's okay. I still love you. Like, because they changed too. Stop nursing.
Oh yeah.
That can be depressing if you're not okay. Like, but like I had to literally every little thing that I was like before would go, oh, I had to go, okay. My legs, yes, I got thick thighs and, like they rub when I walk, but you know what they have helped me walk away from? They've helped me walk away from people who abused me, who talked down on me, from dangerous situations. They've helped me walk into like places that were healing for me. Like I had to do it like that first. And it took me a while to finally accept like everything from head to toe. And now it's so funny because if I'm getting in the shower, like, and my husband is home and like, I'll come back, like I have a big old mirror, like as I'm walking into my bathroom, and I'll like go back and he's like, do you got a new bruise or something? Cause I'll get random bruises. And I'm like, I look damn good. And he's like, yeah, I know. I've been trying to tell you this our whole relationship. And I'm like, no, but I look good. And he's like, I'm glad you finally see it. But it took a long time.
Yeah.
It took a lot of first just learning how to accept and appreciate what my body had done for me. It's the only body I get this whole life. Like,
yeah.
So grateful for what it has done, the weight it has carried, like emotionally, physically, because like gaining weight, getting pregnant, it was a lot. And then I gained weight after being pregnant because I got depressed and, I wasn't eating well. And so like at one point I got as heavy as I was when I was at my heaviest pregnant, and I hated it. But I had to learn to appreciate everything that my body had done for me, regardless of what I thought it should look like.
Yeah.
And once I could start appreciating my body and like being okay looking at myself in the mirror, then I started like seeing the things in myself that I liked. And if you have a really, really hard time, like thinking of anything that is good about you, literally ask your best friend. Everybody has at least one person in their life that, like, when something happens, they want to call them, right? Like your best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask them, why are you friends with me? And of course, they're going to give you some, you know, they're like my best friend. It might be some like shot at you in your left side at first. But like be like, no, like for real. Like don't help them. Just ask them and then let them answer, and like wait until you get something that you can really hold on to and go, you know, I am like that. You're right. I like that about myself. Right? Because your best friend isn't friends with you because you're a piece of crap, like obviously.
Yeah.
You know, like ask your best friend. Ask your best friend.
I love that. Oh, you're just such a wealth of knowledge, and I love how relatable it all feels when you talk about it.
Oh, thank you.
So obviously everybody listening is going to be like, I need to hear more. So what, like, kind of, if I'm just a random person showing up, obviously I know, but like if I'm a random person listening to this podcast and I'm like, I want to work with you, like how can they do that? What kind of programs do you have?
So I have this program. It's a few months long. It's called Heart Rest, and I walk, you know, 6 to 8 women through at a time of like how to like release old things and find things that bring them joy, and then receive like good things for them, right? And it's different for everybody, what everybody chooses to do and what they release and like receive and stuff. And so it's about like getting back to this place where you can still stand there in the midst of the chaos that is life happening around you and go, okay, I can see what needs to be addressed first. Like you can just have a cool head about it. You know, it's kind of like being at peace in the middle of chaos. Peace in the middle of a storm. Like if you are fully grounded, then you're going to be okay. And if you already like are taking care of yourself and you have released things that are like making you emotionally sick and mentally sick, like, and you have these little pieces of joy that you add in all the time, like literally, like, then you know, okay, like this one thing, we're going to get past it. Like it's super hard. It's crazy, whatever. We'll get past it. Like we're going to end up being okay. So like, what's the first step, you know? And, but it's that ability to just like, your heart is okay and your mind is okay, even though like a whole pile of crap is just being thrown on you. And for a long time, I didn't think that that was possible. Until like I learned how to do it for myself. And so now I help other people do it too. And I do one-on-one private coaching as well. Like, you know, I have some smaller things that I would like to start doing in the near future, but for right now, I really just do the group course and one-on-one coaching until I can figure out how to, you know, I guess compile things into like a little book or a way that is more generic, because a lot of the stuff is very person specific. And I love that. I love being able to help people like specifically, but I would also love to be able to like say, okay, generally this is what you do. You can do it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think helping people through it, like there's millions of self-help books. Like if you wanted to get better on your own, you could, but I think so many people are craving like, you know, like what you offer, having someone actually guide you through it, because it's very hard alone.
It is. Well, because it's already going to be isolating once you start. I mean, it is, because unless like you're in a group of people that are all doing this at the same time, you're going to feel isolated anyways, because probably not everyone in your family is on this like super awesome healing journey with you. You know, but also like we're made for community. Like that we are designed for some type of community. And the greatest part, like, about the way I help people for me is that I don't give them the answer. Like, I will on a very rare occasion, in all honesty. I can see almost everybody's answers in the way that they tell me their stories and talk. Like, I just connect dots so well. It's like the thing that my brain does so well. I love it. I can almost see somebody's answer very quickly. But I don't give it to them, because if I can't teach them to find the answer for themselves, then I'm not helping them. I'm just becoming their savior. And I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not the answer, right? They have the answer. I can see the answer most of the time, but I only very rarely give it, like, in sort of like emergency situations. Like, if somebody is literally like, they're already like at a panic attack or anxiety attack, and like they're freaking out and they have to make a decision right now and they don't know why they're hesitating. Like, I can go, okay. Look, I can see that this is a problem right now and this is going on. These are some actual steps you can take forward to get out of this high stress situation. But I've only had to do that maybe 3 times. And so it's a very extenuating circumstance moment, but most of the time I don't give people the answers, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you how to find the answer in yourself.
I love that. I think so much of the coaching industry is like, you have to be with me to get the change, and you follow me no matter how pricey it gets. And like, the rat race is insane, but nobody actually teaches you how to like do it on your own. So I freaking love that you do that. I love it.
Well, and again, like, I work with a lot of moms, and if I can't teach them how to do it for themselves, how are they going to teach their children?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be the answer for you and your kids. Like, no offense. I love working with people, and I love working with kids too. I work with kids too on occasion, but like, I'm a good big sister, and I'm a good like community big sister, but like, I'm not everybody's big sister. So you can't call me all the time, and I can't do everybody's things. So I got to teach you how to do your job.
Well, it's so important, because then they can learn how to do it, and then they can pass it on to the next generation. Like, it's impacting so many people. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so if people want to find you, where are you on the interwebs?
My favorite place to be is Instagram.
Okay, what's your Instagram handle?
So it is at Heartsmith Co.
Okay, I'll make sure I put it in the show notes so everybody can find you.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for this conversation. I loved it. I know that so many people are going to get so much value from it, and you're really changing lives. And I so appreciate you coming on and talking.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Hey, I'm Stephanie Rose, and I am the host of the West Rose Media podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok and all the places. My handle is at West Rose Media. Check out my website too. There are so many resources for people just like you, people who are climbing out of the ashes, ready to make a new life. I got you, babe. Make sure you follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you never miss an episode, and I can keep doing the magic. I can't wait to keep going. Let's get into it.